So in this week's Torah portion, Terumah, Nachmanides, I think really, he does something incredible. You know, we keep reading Bible and, you know, we get to the Torah portion of Terumah and we speak about the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and because in our minds it's already obvious that, you know, it's sort of part and parcel with the package called the Jewish people. You have a tabernacle, you have a Mishkan, you do what you have to do, you know, that we sort of almost take it for granted. And he does something amazing because he comes and here he addresses the issue. In fact, he doesn't ask this, but it's an obvious question. Why suddenly in this Torah portion, after we've just gotten, you know, Revelation, Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments, why all of a sudden the Mishkan? Why do we even need this? And so he starts off by explaining why. At the very beginning, when we're told, right, that the Israelites collect, you know, each one gives a portion of their own, what they want, and they start building the Mishkan. And we're told why, so that God can have a place to dwell among us in the Mishkan. And he starts off by saying, look, Moses comes down, Moshe, and he gives us, you know, a gist of the Torah. We know it wasn't everything. It was the Ten Commandments, it was a flavor. And once there was an agreement, a covenant between us and God, we accept, you accept, then the prerequisite of that, or perhaps, you know, what's meant to follow as a result of this acceptance, is obviously we're with God, but then we need some form of his dwelling here, perhaps, and as a result we need the Mishkan so that he has a place to dwell in and amongst ourselves. But it goes a step further. Nachmanides then says, and the secret of the Mishkan, this is already going Kabbalistic. What is the secret, right? So we've just explained the rationale. There's a covenant, so just like we're in God's heart, he needs to be in our heart, and so we need to have a place of dwelling, a home, because people that love each other, they live next to one another. Makes sense. But the secret is, he says, Sheyeh kavod asher shachan al har Sinai shochen alav b'nistar. This is amazing. He says, we know that the kavod, God's glory, whatever this be, perhaps God's glory is the sort of intermediary, the manifestation of a God that we can attain, that we can cleave to, beyond the God that is beyond everything, that we can't even grasp. So if we're in Mount Sinai and we were able to sort of cling, to sort of feel the presence, the revelation of God's glory, then the purpose, the secret of the Mishkan is to continue this presence of God's glory in a secretive way. And that in itself is wild, because it means that in fact the Mishkan and the Bet HaMikdash is a manifestation, is a continuation of revelation. But then he says even more. He then says, if you look carefully at the verses of Matan Torah, when we were given the Torah, and you continue with all that, you know, Nachmanides has explained, you realize that in fact when we look at the Mishkan, we look at Bet HaMikdash, we're actually as close as we can be to seeing, feeling the presence of God, because of also the structure, the way it is built. It has a lot to do with Ezekiel's vision, what he saw. So we see here it's not only a rationale of living together in the same home, but then there's a secret of a continuation of what we felt, and that feeling in fact is seeing, visualizing, sensing God, and that can only be achieved through the Mishkan or Bet HaMikdash. Thoughts on the secret of the Mishkan, the Torah portion of Terumah. Shabbat Shalom.